This episode of Penn Point starts right now. This episode of Penn Point is brought to you by Busted Tees. I'm going to do a quick Penn Point today about NPR. All the public funding of NPR. And my man Ron Paul did that wonderful speech where he made fun of Republicans for cutting $10 million from the NPR. And then that $10 million really comes down to when you're probably down to nothing. And yet they're not cutting the wars and stopping Iraq and stopping Afghanistan and stopping all of that. So he was kind of making fun of them for that. Is something flickering? Or am I just having a stroke? Anyway, he was saying that was foolish to cut NPR when we have these huge wars and the money is not even the same ballpark. It's like, I guess it's like a golf membership of hundreds of thousands of dollars and then worrying about I don't know why I'm doing an analogy here. You don't need an analogy. Analogy is when you don't understand something. You understand that a war is bajillions of dollars and NPR costs next to nothing. So you hear this logic all the time that this stuff is so cheap, why bother? Just keep funding everything because it's all so cheap. And if they make 30, 50, 60 billion dollars worth of cuts, those just go to people that we hurt a lot and don't really make a dent in our budget. Yeah, okay. It's just that when you're in debt, I think you cut stuff. But I'm not even going to go into that. I'm going to go into NPR. I listen to NPR all the time. I think I have Sirius in one car and I have XM in another, but now they're kind of the same, right? And I don't listen to anything really on Sirius and XM except NPR. They got two stations of NPR that you can flip back and forth. Like one's NPR Best Of and one's NPR Live. One's talk and one's live. And I listen to when I drive in and out of work or I drive to pick the children up at school, I have NPR on. And NPR gets money from me because I pay money for Sirius, and Sirius pays money for their content. So I'm paying for it every time I listen to it. I've also given money to NPR, and I've been part of their fund drives. I really, really love NPR. I don't agree with them very much. A lot of disagreements, but I love their style, except for, rolling off the high end, so everybody sounds mellow and a little stoned. But I really like their content. I mean, Terry Gross, who interviewed us 30 years ago, we've interviewed her a little bit since. She's wonderful. I love listening to her. She's fabulous. I love listening to Diane Reams. I love all that stuff. I love the call-in shows. I love their news at the top of the hour. I just love everything about NPR. Now, I disagree with them intensely on many things, but they do a really good job at what they do. It's the way I feel about the New York Times. Incidentally, I paid the New York Times full subscription for my iPad too. It's got full New York Times on it at full price, and I understand that you can make it cheaper by buying the paper edition and throwing it away than buying the full-out, complete subscription for everything for a tablet and an iPhone, but I did that. I paid for them because I appreciate the New York Times. I read the New York Times, not every day, but most days, and I don't read every article, but I read most of them. And I love the New York Times and disagree with them on everything. I read the editorials. I disagree all the time. They are clearly very liberal. I'm libertarian. We disagree. Same thing with NPR. But I give NPR money, and I would be happy to give them more money. But I don't think they should be paid for by the government. And it's not because they lean left, which incidentally, they do, okay? They do lean left, and then people who are leaning right or libertarian or independent or communist or socialist or all the other things that aren't liberal are paying through the government for something they don't agree with, which doesn't seem right. But that doesn't bother me that much either. What bothers me is if you say to me, we have a country and we have a news station that's paid for by the government, I say, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. WTF, what the fuck? Why would you ever allow the government to support even a tiny bit a news service? Why would you want any of your news paid for at all by the government? Why? And my whole life, there has been government news. I never knew a time before NPR, okay? I never knew a time before NPR. I never knew a time before the government paid for this news. And it has always seemed to me so deeply, incredibly un-American. People who complain about Murdoch and Fox and big corporations owning news media, people who complain about that seem okay with the government owning news media. What the fuck? What the fucking fuck? So what I'm saying right now is I love NPR. I don't agree with them, but I listen to them all the time. Think they do a great job. Think they're honest. Think they're straightforward. I think they even separate their opinion from the facts really well. And when they spin, you can kind of hear them doing it. When they do their, they just did their real pro-Libya, we've got a bomb over there, won't this be great, we're all pro-war. They did their pro-war, let's bomb everybody thing. And I really believe they are not influenced by their government money, but they're still getting it. They're still getting government money. And I think that even though the reason for doing it, because you're not saving that much, 10 million is not a lot of money. That's the number they're throwing out. Not a lot of money in our whole budget. I think having NPR not be beholden to the government is a really good idea. And the scam that went around when they edited the big cheese at NPR, they edited his speech so it looked like he was saying shit against the Tea Party and calling them racist and so on, and that ended up being edited, and then he had, it was all this trouble. If this were a private organization working on donations, that would not have been a problem. You say, okay, we do hate the Tea Party. Who gives a fuck? You want to send us money or you don't? The Tea Party doesn't send us money, so fuck them. They can do that if they want. That's the way it should be. Let's please keep news private. So I listen to NPR all the time, and I would like to pay more to listen to NPR and not have the government involved. That's my only point. What am I crazy on this? I want to take a minute and tell you about Busted Tees. The dudes over at College Humor set up this site as a depot for funny shirts back in 2004, and they've been putting out the most awesome designs you're going to find on the internets. It doesn't matter if you're into video games, movies, geography, politics, science fiction, or just wrapping your torso with something weird. Busted Tees literally has you covered. They're the coolest items of clothing since windbreakers were invented. Windbreakers are cool, right? Yeah, sure. You must have seen a busted tee or two pop up in movies like Knocked Up and shows like Scrubs. Now you can grab one to have for your very own, forever and ever and ever. And they're printed in the good old US of A on high-quality, super soft materials in a sweatshop-free environment, so you won't be plagued with guilt when you order them, which, is always a plus. Head on over to bustedtees.com right now. Actually, finish watching this video. Then head over to BT, start scrolling, and get ready to find the shirt of your dreams, your bizarre, hilarious dreams. Enter the promo code Penn Point and receive 10% off your order.